This is fun. We should do this. Hi guys, welcome back to the tech series. Today is the sixth and final episode of the tech series, unfortunately. But today we're gonna talk about the end of the year and what to look for, and also how to prepare yourself in the new upcoming tech year. And this is like the 2020. So hopefully we'll know a little bit more about that process also for you internationals. We are in March right now, so it's very close to actually edit the last things of deduction as long as you can still do that despite that you haven't done it in December. So let's go through it in the beginning. So what happens here in March and in April and May? What's going on here? Because there's a lot of, especially Danes, they are waiting for the tax return, and that's always an hour waiting time. And people should be aware of the report at the end. So what happens in this process?
Yeah, good question. As you mentioned, that now you can say is the time where tax returns needs to be done. We talked about it in one of the previous episodes that in Denmark we pay taxes based on a preliminary income assessment, and then we prepay taxes during the year. But we don't necessarily know if what we paid is correct. And this is then the process we're in now. So all employers, authorities, banks and so on, they are actually right now doing the last reportings into the tax system for every taxpayer in Denmark. Once everything is nicely put into the tax system, the Danish tax authorities, they will actually calculate and prepare the tax return and send to each taxpayer and ask us to confirm or more or less to correct if there's something that's not as the way it should. So I guess a lot of people, they are a bit curious about, did we do it correctly? Did we overpay tax? Did we underpay tax? And normally here, you can say end of March or beginning of May, you are able to log into your e-tax system and see the final figures.
So what is more practical is what happens is that, for instance, I don't usually always go in and correct things during the year. So this is actually the final steps of doing the really correction of the previous tax or this year's tax returns. So what do I have to be aware of when I'm in this stage? What kind of, is it deduction again, or is there something else that I need to be aware of in this period?
So ideally it would be something that you would both need to do now, but also due before the tax year ends. Is really to go in and maybe print out the preliminary income assessment, put it on the desk, and then also print out the final income and deductions that's in the system as of today, and then basically compare the numbers to check what's stated now compared to what you thought you would earn. Is it actually correct, or are there some amounts that are different? If you should do a voluntary tax payment. It's possible for you actually via this comparison and also via the tax system, the e-tax system, to actually go in and check if you have an underpaid tax, and then it's possible for you to do a voluntary tax payment. That way you can avoid to have interest expenses. So that's a good thing. Then there are some amounts that you shouldn't necessarily focus too much on, because like salary information, this is reported automatically from your employer. Then it's only if you know that they didn't pay what they should, but then it's them you should go back to and ask for more salary. But just more or less you can say confirm quickly, yes, this is actually the salary I got from my employer. And then if you look at the deductions you have, if you have any, there might be some of these amounts that you actually need to go in and adjust yourself, because the tax authorities, they wouldn't know, for example, how many days you commuted to your employer. And if you're getting a commuting deduction, you actually need to go in manually in the system, inform how many days you commuted from which address to which workplace and so on. And it is, you can say, it's important you do it, And you can say it may be that there is a pre-populated amount stated. That doesn't mean you shouldn't check it. You still need to go in and check that it's actually correct. In the end, it is your responsibility as a taxpayer. So don't think just because it's stated already, it's good to go.
I think actually that I'll take that advice, printing it out and compare it, because I've actually never done that before. But that's actually a good rule of thumb, because it has to be the same amount. And that's also a way to actually be sure that you are paying the right amount of tax. So I would advise you guys to do that outside at your home, and just print everything out and make sure that it matches. So we are here in March. So what is the top golden rules that you would advise our internationals to do in the end of this?
I would definitely, you can say, do the quick check and see is the income reported correctly. If you have income not from Danish sources, let's say you have maybe income from small investment or whatever it could be from abroad, this is not reported automatically into the Danish tax authorities also. So go in, check your income. Is it correct? If not, correct it. Because let's say you have an income that's too low, you know you have earned more. Well then, if you don't update it, you will have an underpaid tax, and it's something that you also get the interest for. Again, when you do it in May and not at the end of the year, you still have a small interest payment on this, but it's still better to get it done sooner than later. And also, so you're sure that you actually submit the information within deadline. So we do have a deadline for when you should submit it.
Do you know the deadline?
It depends a little bit on whether this is the first year you joined or if it's ongoingly. But normally, I believe it's around in April. And if you then have what we call a stretch deadline, it's in July, around 1st or the 2nd of July. But really go in as one of the top golden rules, check if the income is correct. And then also walk through all your deductions, make sure that any pre-populated amounts are correct. If you don't have any amounts, make sure that you actually include them, so you don't lose out on these deductions.
And the deduction, you can watch our episode 4. So actually we have a discussion about what kind of deduction is relevant for international students as well, or just internationals. So be sure not to cheat yourself about it, and take the deduction that you actually is liable for.
And then maybe also you can say, in the event that you are having an underpaid tax, just know that it doesn't mean necessarily that once you get your tax return, you need to pay the money. So we actually have as a standard practice that up to a certain amount, the Danish tax authorities would say, this we actually include in your, for if you have underpaid tax for 19, they would automatically include this in your 2021 taxes. So then they automatically include it in your tax card. So they just from the beginning know that, let's say you have an underpaid tax of 10,000, well then they will say this is something you need to pay to us in 2021. And then they automatically include that in your tax card. So disregarding whatever income you have for 2021, you need to pay 10,000.
Yeah. Okay, so you're not going to like bend over it, and you actually have to pay it somehow at the end, and it will be automatically in this regard. So I think it's a good idea that we can take from here is that make sure to correct it and make sure that everything is lined up. But if you, if I can say it, screw up, then it's not that bad. Of course, you have to pay the right amount, but then it will be taken or calculated in the next years of assessment or tax income. So yeah. But what can you be more specific on what to actually look for in the tax return?
So again, all depending on how your economy is. If you have a fairly simple economy, I would really say that look at the income that's reported in the tax return. are the numbers correct? And you can actually also pull out a report from your e-tax system and see where on your tax return there's just one figure stated. You can actually go in and you can have a detailed view, so you can see which employer reported what and for which period and so on. So you can get quite detailed information, but check that in the right box. And then also again check for your deductions. Make sure that they are done, everything accordingly, because in the end it is your responsibility as a taxpayer to ensure this is correct. You would sometimes think that everything is, because everything goes so automatically. Everybody reports it in, everything is correct, but in the end, if there's amounts that's wrong, could be deductions from previous years that has just been included, you need to update that yourself.
Yeah, and we will also include where to actually find your actual tax payment for the last year in the blogs. So make sure to watch that as well. And we have a lot of tutorials in there. So just be sure to, if there's something that we haven't mentioned, we might put it in the blog as well. And make sure that you guys, if you have any questions, we're actually having a live stream with Daniel, very fortunately, and we'll do that in the end of March, and we'll put a link down in the description for the actual event, and we will do it in Studenterhuset here in Aarhus, and we'll also make a live stream so that you guys from Copenhagen, Aalborg or Odense can actually ask Daniel about your specific tax question, and he will answer to that question as well. But we'll advise you to come and also meet the team of students of our guide, and we will look very forward to meet you there. And the last thing I want to say is that I hope the series helped you to understand taxes, because it can be a very difficult subject for a lot of us that is just normal and don't work with taxes normally. And feel free to get in touch with Daniel. He can help you a little bit more. And I don't know if you have any words.
No, I just want to maybe emphasize that, to begin with, first encounter with the tax rules, also in Denmark, it can be a bit scary. It can seem very complicated, but just take one small bit at a time. And then don't be afraid to ask, because don't try to Google yourself to everything. Then ask someone who has actually been through the process. If needed, ask me or reach out to the Danish tax authorities.
Yeah, that was it. And we hope that you enjoyed it. And thank you so much, Daniel, for your time. You are a savior to a lot of audience, I know that for sure, and also for us, we learned a lot during this process as well. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Take care out there. See you to the live stream, of course.